Make money watching UFC Qatar, Arman Sarukian versus Dan Hooker. I apologize for the late video. Um, Honestly, I need a new fucking computer. This is completely retarded. I keep filming it and it keeps deleting, filming, deleting, same old, but whatever. Hopefully, this one will not get deleted. Um, Coming off of last week, apologies for the late video, by the way, but coming off of last week, um, man, we had our underdog of the week, Zhong Wei Li, obviously was ended up looking like a terrible pick. But I believe that, the pick was fair to base, Zhong Wei Li was able to stuff the takedowns of Tatiana Suarez. I believe she's going to be able to do the same against Valentina. Manon Fior was able to stuff the takedowns of Valentina. And unfortunately, MMA is just silly sometimes. Things don't make sense. She can stuff the takedowns, get off bottom against Tatiana, who's a much more credentialed wrestler. But against Valentina, she's completely hopeless. So we had that bad pick on my end. And then our lock of the week, just to cap it off, we had Islam Makhachev to score one takedown in round two. Man, out of all the fights on the card, the one fighter I select, the one prop in the one particular round, Jack Della Maddalena gets an self-inflicted takedown on himself and falls to bottom position and doesn't count. So just to top it off, my luck, fucking bullshit. Every single round takes him down at will. And then we get to round two, Jack shoots a dumbass takedown and then ends up on bottom position, doesn't count as a takedown for Islam, even though he had 4 minutes of control time. So just my luck, of course, it fucking had to happen. Literally looked like they knew I bet on that. Constantly happening. Fucking ridiculous, but whatever. Back to this week. Gonna get through this video as quick as possible because I know that it's gonna fucking randomly crash out. Lock of the week. Our lock of the week is going to be in the Arman Sarukian versus Dan Hooker fight, and that is going to be fight not to start round four. So that's going to be for the fight to end in rounds one, two, and three. Essentially, I believe that Arman Sarukian is going to be the one that's going to get a finish in rounds one or two. We've obviously got three as a safety barrier, and round four, we're just taking the round, we're not taking the winner. So if Dan Hooker does fucking somehow time up a knee or land a big shot and score a TKO, that will count as well. So what I do believe and what I do see happening in this fight, I believe we're going to see pretty much what happened with Islam versus Dan Hooker. I believe Arman's going to strike for a little bit. Dan's going to throw a sloppy kick without setting it up. Arman's going to be able to catch it, take him down, pass his guard, move into side control, land some shots, and maybe set up a Kimura or so. I believe my official prediction is going to be around one Kimura for Arman Sarukian. Very high on Arman here. I've seen a lot of people be talking about Dan Hooker, a lot more than what I thought. But you're getting dropped by Gamrot, you're getting hurt by Gamrot. Gamrot's got the biggest pillow hands in the UFC. I mean, apart from his KO against Scott Holtzman, who's a cannon outside of the UFC, he's knocked out no one, and he's literally has zero power at all, like zero. So that just showed the type of damage and where his chin is at. If Arman lands anything significant, he's probably going to get TKO. Dan Hooker, maybe similar to like the Arnold Allen fight. He just gets hurt way too much, take too much damage. He's had another surgery, a long layoff. Yes, Arman has had a long layoff too, but he's young. And it's not the same as taking a layoff when you're 35. Your body's a lot more, worn and torn. Um, and Arman did have a full training camp for the Islam fight in January, and he also weighed in as a backup in June for Ilya and Charles. So lock of the week is going to be fight not to start round four. So as long as anyone gets finished in rounds one, two, or three, we win. I believe it's going to be Arman. I believe he's going to be able to get the takedowns at will. Even though Dan does have a pretty good takedown defense, I feel Arman's just in his prime, 29 years old. He's got the experience now, and the circumstances favour him. So I'm going to be picking Arman Sarukian to win by round one submission. I'm going to predict a Kimura. I wouldn't be surprised if he did get a ground and pound TKO. He has very good ground and pound out of his half guard, out of guard. We saw that against Joe Alvarez. We saw that in round two against Oliveira. Maybe that can set up a submission if he gets into mount, throws down some good elbows. Dan gives up his back, gets a round one rear naked choke. But I believe Arman round one submission. And our lock of the week is fight not to start round four. So a finish from either gentleman inside of rounds one, two, or three. Underdog of the week is going to be Alexandre Taporia. And it depends where you're at right now. The odds Alexandre could be an underdog. He could be a favourite. I've seen a lot of people be throwing shade on Alexandre in this fight here. Seen a lot of people be talking about Bexat, saying how good he is and that he's going to knock out Taporia. I don't see that happening. Um, how I see this is, a lot of people are high on Bexat because of Alexandre's, record, and they see he's been knocked out before, but they don't look at that. That was 10 years ago. I believe he was like 19 or something. Um, so he had a long layoff. He's been coaching his brother. He's been putting his brother first and wanted his brother to become champion before he really pursued his own career properly. Um, and a lot of people are talking about that Colby Thickness performance. And yeah, if you do look back, it was a 29-28, maybe a 30-27 for Alexandre. But he pretty much dominated in the sense he was just technically better everywhere. He was able to outstrike Colby and landed the much more damaging shots, even kind of dropped him at one point. It was able to showcase his wrestling with that suplex. Whenever Colby would shoot, he would end up in a um, sprawled out position, was able to take the back, control Colby. And let's not forget, like, that was a change of matchup. So it's a lot different when you're preparing for a whole nother style, and then Colby, fucking pulls up rather than Cody Haddon, who it was meant to be. Um, and then on top of that, first fight in a very long time, first fight in the UFC. I believe why people think he looked a lot worse than what he looked and why they're picking Bexa is because they think that that's Alexandre in that fight. It's not. What we saw was a much lower output from Alexandre there, and I believe it was just a little bit of ring rust. First UFC fight, wasn't really sure where his cardio would be at. Unexperienced, he hadn't been in a deep round three before inside the UFC. He hadn't fought in a couple of years. He just wanted to, it was a bit of ring rust. He's got that fight under his belt now. He knows where he's at. Um, and I believe he's the far more technical fighter here. One thing that Bexat does a lot is he tries to time uppercuts. He tries to time big right hands, and he goes forward and he ends up getting to the clinch and getting to the body lock. Alexandre Taporia and Ilya, they've started from, I believe, 4 years old in Greco-Roman wrestling. I believe that when they do get to the clinch like that, Alexandre is going to be able to use that wrestling to his upside and be able to get the takedowns and mix them in as well, and even control Bexat on the ground. Um, I believe he's a lot bigger than Bexat, frame wise, size wise. Um, and I believe he's going to be able to get the takedowns in the clinch. He's going to be able to go forward. Man, people are underrating the fuck out of Alexandre. I'm going to say it here first. He's one of the best boxers in the UFC. People just don't understand it. They don't see it because it's been against such a low level competition. But what his first fight with Colby reminds me of is Ilya's first fight with Yusuf. It was short notice, different opponent. He wasn't really prepared. Had a 29, 28, 30, 27. It was very similar. And then after that he came out there and smoked a guy inside round one, and people were picking his opponent. So I believe a very similar scenario here. Bexat's good. He does present problems. He definitely can win. He's got very good uppercuts up the middle. He's a good counter striker. His grappling is decent, but I believe that Alexandre is more versed. His fight IQ is a lot more higher. I have seen Bexat hurt on the regional scene as well and have tough fights against lower level competition. Alexandre, he's got a very intelligent guard. I believe that this is going to be a fight where Alexandre is coming forward with his high and tight guard, looking to set up the big right hands, and he has a very good right uppercut. He works the body well. He likes to throw when his opponent's against a cage by backing them down. Bexat's going to look to counter. Ilya's going to chop at that leg. Not Ilya. Alexandre is going to chop at that leg, I believe. I believe that's going to be a very heavy style of attack here because Bexat waits to counter with his punches. I believe that Alexandre is going to chop up that leg, and if it does go to the ground, Alexandre is going to be able to control him. So, lock of the week is Alexandre Taporia. I'm going to pick Alexandre to win. It's hard. I believe he's going to win by knockout or decision. Ah, I could definitely say a not. I'm going to go with a knockout. I'm going to go with a knockout. He could win a decision, but I am going to go with a knockout. His boxing is so good, and people don't see it yet. They didn't see it in that Yusuf fight as well when Ilya started. People saying the same thing. He's going to lose his next fight. Doesn't have a good gas tank. Blah blah blah. they haven't seen enough. They don't understand. I believe Alexandre is going to be far more better everywhere. Bexat just waits and looks counter too much, so Alexandre can definitely win a lot of minutes against him. Alexandre Topuria, underdog of the week. A prop that I'm very high on is Volkan Oezdemir to win by knockout. I am I am a massive Alonso Menafield hater. I just think he's absolute garbage. Especially in that Julius Walker fight. That was someone, Julius Walker took that fight on short notice. And Menafield and had a split decision with him and arguably won and hurt him a bunch of times and was able to go forward and land big shots. And man, look what Rafael Cicada just did to fucking Julius Walker. He did more damage than Alonso. And then even in Alonso's last fight against Umar Sy, they're both fucking terrible, by the way. That was a shit show. So I'm just very low on Alonso. I think Vulcan here is younger. He's fresher. Coming off of that 29-28 decision loss against Olberg, which isn't aging badly. It's not a bad loss at all. And then we have his submission against Bogdan Guskov, which is aging very, very well. And then the KO against Johnny Walker, who's also aging somewhat well, even though a lot of people have knocked out Johnny. But, he's coming off of a win. Bogdan's on a bit of a win streak. Olberg's about to fight for the title. Alonso had a split decision with Julius Walker 2 fights ago. So that tells you what you need to know. Yeah, I'm here. I believe he's going to be able to go forward. He's got very good low kicks. He lands more per minute. He's a lot bigger too. I believe the straight punches are going to be there. Alonso doesn't do a good job at moving his head. I believe Vulcan's just going to go forward, clip him behind the ear with a solid 1-2. I'd probably say round 1 or round 2. I'd probably say round 2 TKO for Vulcan, but a prop that I am slamming is Vulcan by KO, and I am going to be taking his money line as well. So take that with what you want. And that's actually going to be it because my computer about to explode. Lock of the week is Arman versus Den Hooker fight not to start round 4. Underdog of the week, Alexandre Topuria, and a prop there for you guys, Volkan Oezdemir by knockout or Volkan's money line, as well as Arman by finish. Thank you guys for watching.